Wind Down Wednesday, we are going to talk about the ideal client profile, which is most times referred to as ICP. Um, ICP, of course, is an important piece to consider as you are developing your law practice, as well as when you're thinking about even launching one as well, right? So this is always going to be an important element for your strategic plan because you need to know who your ideal client is. And having this ideal client profile allows you to tailor your content, tailor your marketing, your strategy, and everything that is essentially built around the ideal client that you're after, that you're trying to attract, that you're wanting to serve, that you're wanting to build relationships and essentially convert into being long-term clients of your practice. So in building out an ICP, you're not only going to look at the demographics that make up that individual or those individuals. And I highly recommend that when you're building out your ICP, that you approach this activity as if it's a person. And in most instances, I actually tell my clients to name ICP something is because it gives it a little bit of a human element, makes you as well as the other individuals in your firm feel like there's an actual real person that you're speaking to when you're creating content, when you're building your marketing strategy, when you're building out your entire practice. You're building it around this individual, right? So you feel like you are essentially serving and creating what will be of service to this individual client. And it makes it a lot more realistic and easier for you to go ahead and build the infrastructure and everything that needs to happen to serve this client. So when you're building out your ICP, think about the demographics. Where are they located? If it's an individual that you're after, what is their household income, average household income? Of course, if that plays a role in what you're looking at and the type of practice area that you're in. And that specifically ties back to one, can they afford the services for which you're able to provide them, and do they have the budget tolerance to be able to be your client? So those are two important pieces to look at when you're considering the details of your ICP, the demographics of your ICP. Other things to look at are, what are their job titles? Because the job titles could also be an important piece that determines whether or not they are your client or not. And in addition to that, you also want to look at what industry they are in. The industry that they're in will help to determine if they're a good fit for you. An example of what industry they're in and the importance of industry that they're in is, think about you being a finance attorney and banks are your targets. You are going to most naturally look for individuals who are in the finance/banking industry because those are your clients, those are your targets, that's where you're going to find them. So you're going to be looking at banks, you're going to be looking at people who work in banks. Now, if you want to drill down a little bit further, say, for example, you're in that commercial real estate space, the thing to do to ensure that you are looking for individuals who are in the commercial real estate space as it relates to your practice, if you happen to be, let's say in this case, a real estate attorney, you're reaching across to look for individuals in the bank that deal with financing and banking for commercial real estate type clients, or perhaps they might just be in the commercial space, right? They might be in the business space of the bank and not on the consumer side of the bank. So that's going to be something that you're going to be looking at and you're going to be considering when you're building up the demographics for the individual or individuals that you are planning to serve. I want to remind you that this exercise is not one to only be done when you're just getting started as an attorney, or when you're just starting a law practice, or, just when you're getting started just generally as an attorney. Instead, this is to be revisited because this can sometimes change if there are changes within your market, there are changes in your practice, there are just changes in the environment around you, whatever those changes may be. It may impact the specifics that make up your ICP. So you have to understand that this is not a do it once and forget it exercise. This is something that over time, you have to revisit every now and again to ensure that it's current and it aligns with what you are wanting to include, or what you want to look for in your target. These are the characteristics and these are the demographics and descriptions essentially of the target market and the individuals that you're after, right? So just wanted to say that here. Now I want to take this exercise just a little bit further than what typically happens. Usually when somebody is building out their ideal client profile, they're looking at just these elements. But I like to take things a little bit further. When you're looking at your ICP, those are the things that describe who they are. Taking it a step further for you to get closer to, who your ideal client is and understanding what their pain points are, you need to know what keeps them up at night, right? The psychographics of these individuals, like what are the things that, push them and pull them in one direction or the other? What are the things that are their pain points? What are the things that impact them? And what are the problems that you as an attorney are able to solve for them? When you take this exercise up to that notch, that allows you to now determine if there are things in your practice that you need to do or you need to change in order for you to respond to the client in an effective way. What that means is your effectiveness as an attorney in being able to serve this individual, this ideal client, means that you are able to help their issues and their pains, that their pain points go away by you doing what you do as an attorney. That's what that means. If you are clever enough to take this exercise a step up and start looking at those specifics of your ideal client, those specifics are essentially what will set you apart in your market and will help to build the brand for your firm and also your personal brand. Because those words that are going to be included in their pain points are going to be used to create the correct messaging to reach these individuals, because you're speaking directly to their problem and you're showing up with the solution. In the end, any business that exists to serve any type of client is there to fix a problem, to solve a problem. And if you're able to incorporate that into your ICP exercise as you're working through it, you will have a much higher success in, one, attracting the type of clients that you are really after, two, understanding the clients that you're really after, and three, solving the problem and therefore building the relationship, building the trust, and keeping that relationship so sticky, like what we call it here at Strategy Academy, that that client continues to return to you because they've built trust and built loyalty, or they're always referring you. So as you go about your way today, think about what your ideal client profile looks like, the things that make up your ideal client profile, whatever that may be. And then think about the problems that they are facing, the psychographics that make up this ICP, and work through what are those things and how do you make those things better for the client? How do you fix problems? How do you resolve things? How do you make solutions for the client? And that in there lies what you deliver for the client. That's the redemption. That's the success. That's the solution that you provide to your client, outside of just providing that you do blank legal services, real estate legal services, divorce, whatever the practice is. Knowing those pain points, knowing the comfort zone that you take them into, the problem that you solve, that is what will set you apart. And that is what will keep the client coming back to you. It is what will allow you to build your profile in the market, and it will allow you to stand out. So as you go on your way today, think through those things. And thank you so much for joining Wind Down Wednesday. I hope to see you again next time.